Adara Live. Today I am so excited to introduce you to one of my favorite people, Leah Goldstein. She is a freaking winner in my life and in my world. The minute I heard her speak, I literally was falling off of my chair in exasperation, in enjoyment, in opportunities and possibilities for my own life. I'm very excited to introduce you to Leah. She is right here. Say hi.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. This girl has been a world champion kickboxer. She's been an undercover Israeli police officer. She is a national cycling champion, just winning second place in the Ram just like a few weeks ago, going across America. She is a powerhouse, and she's here today to talk to us about what it's like to have a winner's mindset. So, Leah, were you born this way, or how did this?
I don't know if I was born this way. I mean, I think, yes, I think I was.
I feel like you're a little Lady Gaga, Born This Way, and a little Eye of the Tiger. I'm feeling both songs in my head. So what do you think, besides the fact that maybe you had hardships or things that happened in your life where it kind of pushed you to be like, or push back, if you will, where do you think that like fire comes from in your being?
Well, I knew even as a young kid, like starting from when I was from when as young as I can remember, 7 years old, that I had challenges, right? You know, I was bullied at school because I had a lisp and a limp and my English wasn't good, you know, and I had a learning disability. So I knew that I would have these struggles, right? But I had a decision to make, you know, whether I let it deter me and hold me back and, you know, feel sorry for myself, or I bring myself up and I overcome these challenges. And so it basically started at that age, you know, of, you know, I'm not going to be, you know, looked upon that poor little girl who, you know, has a limp and a lisp or whatever. I want to excel and do things that I was good at. I mean, I had to work twice as hard, but it's a decision that you make, right? Where do you want to be on the spectrum, right? And you want to be the best that you can. So that was my decision, that I wasn't going to be categorized as that girl who is not very smart and is not very good in athleticism, right? I was going to show them exactly who I was.
That's so cool. Did you ever have things that you tried though that you were like, oh, this isn't really for me. I don't really need to be good at this, or
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I tried different. I mean, I really loved music, like the guitar, for example, but I don't have an ear for music, right? I failed guitar in high school, so there you go, right? But I loved it. But I didn't have like a passion for it, really, right? I love to play. When I was a kid, I used to take my tennis racket, you know what I mean? But so yeah, you got to try new things, many things, and then you'll find that one thing that you really latch on to. But the point is, you have to try everything at least once, whether you like it or not, because you never know. Right?
I agree. I totally agree. And I also agree with you that, you know, we can love something. Like, for instance, you know, I loved jazz growing up, and then I got into it, but then I realized I wasn't really as good as the other girls. And then there were pieces of it that I didn't really love, you know, and you're right. It's just like that, the fire in me around it was kind of like dwindling, where like there was other things that felt more alive. I felt more alive when I was doing it. Is that sort of something that happens for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, also it'll lead you to other things. Like, for example, I mean, I started doing duathlons, you know, from, you know, a soldier that introduced me to the sport. I didn't necessarily love it, but that's how I discovered cycling. So, you know, when you try new things, it can branch out to other things that, you know, you'll really have a passion for. And that's where this whole cycling thing kind of started for me, was in the military way back, you know, like over 30 years ago, right? So again, don't be afraid to try and explore new things. You know what I mean? It opens opportunities, opens your mind, and it's creativity too. Like, it's discovering new things about yourself, and it's super important rather than always feeling comfortable. That's boring.
Totally. And so you pushing yourself almost like, do you ever feel like you push yourself beyond your limits, or do you feel like you stay sort of safe-ish?
No, I think everyone has to push themselves beyond their limits really to succeed, especially when you love something and you don't necessarily have a gift for it. You have to, because other people who may be more talented in whatever you choose to do, they may excel with half the work. So pushing yourself beyond your limits is something that it's a priority with many, many things, right? And again, it's coming outside of your comfort zone. Yes, you're going to suffer a little bit. Yes, you're going to fail a little bit. But who cares? Because failure is part of success. success. You know, how many times do you hear about these great stories of people, you know, that have achieved things, but go to the background of how they got there, right? They failed many times and they weren't afraid to come out of that hole, because you have to. Because once you get in that hole and you don't get out, you'll always stay there in some part of your head. You'll always be down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where nothing happens, and then
Exactly.
spiral. I love everything you said, and you brought up so many things while you were talking, and then I just lost them. But for somebody, say, do you go in wanting to win? Like, do you have sort of like this, not entitlement, but this idea that you are going to win and win, or do you go in to play the game?
Well, of course, in anything you choose, you're not necessarily in sports. I mean, you want to win whatever you're doing. That's the ultimate goal, right? But there's a reality to it too, right? Is when you cross your finish line or get to that end, you have to ask yourself, was there everything, I did everything I could to, I possibly could to get where I'm at? Or is there something that I did, or, you know what I mean? Or I could have done more. So there's always that question at the end. And when you get to the end of wherever you're going, if you can tell yourself, you know what, I did everything I could. I laid it on the line and this is my result. Hey, that's the best you got, right? But many of us, there's always more we can do. So don't be afraid to go back and go try it again, right? Because some of us, we don't push ourselves hard enough till it's almost too late, right? Don't be afraid, even if it hurts, you know what I mean? That pain will pass.
Mm-hmm. And it does hurt. And so for you doing this was this your second RAM?
Yes, it was, yeah.
You obviously went in a little bit smarter, a little bit wiser, would you say? I mean, I just wanted to, I don't want to give away any of your book because it's so amazing to read, but there's this one part about you taping your head back because you got that thing where your head started to go forward. I don't know what it's called. And so this time I had asked you before we went live, did you have to tape your neck again? And you said no. So I was like, oh, so that maybe there was some learning curves there for this time around, or.
Well, I mean, I also don't forget, I mean, I've come out of retirement from 8 years of basically just doing, you know, I was still competing and stuff, but not on that level. And coming out of retirement at 50 is already scary, right? So, and I'm going into the hardest race in the world. So I am smarter, but also you don't know what happens to the body at the age of 50, right? You know, so it was when I don't like to swear, but I was scared shitless on this race. When we talk about fear, I had nightmares for a year about this particular race, right? But we came in there with all the issues I had in 2011. We were ready for them. Like we talk about, it's called Schirmer's neck. It's when the muscles give out and your head collapses. So they did shave me. I am bald in the back, so I've got to wear a hat for a bit here. So I'm bald in the back and I got hair up here. So that was already, you know, we did it before the race even started, and they tied me back on day 3, right? But the good thing about this whole experience is that at 50, I ended up riding 2 days faster than the young ones, the age category from 30 to 40, and I was 20 hours faster than I was in 2011, right? So age is just a number. Are you out there?
Yeah. Oh my God, you're just my heroess. And tell me, when you were there and you were doing it, was it worth all that worry the year that you put into it? Or like, does that keep you going? Or are you kind of like, shit, I shouldn't have worried?
Well, I mean, because my expectation is always to do the best that I can, like to win races and stuff. And so, you know, when you're out of the loop for so long, you know, you got the cobwebs kind of a bit rusty and stuff. And, you know, it says as you age, things changes, right? But I mean, I think it was just natural. Like, I kid you not, I never stressed so much in my life with anything I've done, right? You know, is that worry and that fear and just feeling almost sick to my stomach, right? But I wasn't gonna let it stop me. I never have, right? You know what I mean? I practice what I preach. You know, when faced with fear, what happens most of the time is we freeze. We just buckle. We don't know what to do, right? You know, but you know, setting those limitations, I wasn't gonna go there and, you know, and say, no, I'm not gonna do this because of my fears. You gotta face your fears, man. You gotta break through them, or else you will never progress. You will always stay where you are.
And that's boring. I mean, you already know
boring. Don't be boring.
That is. You're already there. Why don't you go somewhere else? Yeah. That's
exactly.
Evolution, baby. All right. So what can we say to people that maybe they aren't athletes, maybe they just have other, you know, blocks to bust through with their self-worth, or with their own confidence, or with, you know, a business thing that they're creating, or heck, who knows, even being like a mom and being like good at it or whatever. Like, how can you like lay off sort of, or have that worry and stress, but still move through it?
Well, I mean, I think, again, it's that fear of failure, they kind of laser in on that one thing that may go south, opposed to all the great things that could happen for one, right? And I mean, listen, it's a one-time deal on this planet. We don't get second chances. We're here now, and we got to live now. You know what I mean? You don't stop living when you're still alive. And you don't want to, I always end my presentation with my grandmother. She never said, you never want to be sitting on your deathbed saying the words, I wish or what if. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? So you failed, but at least, when you're, 80 or 90 or 100 years old, you're going to say, you know what, I did try it and I have no regrets. And that's the biggest thing is, you know what, you're going to hate yourself and you're going to bang your head on the wall saying, why didn't I do it? So think about that before you make the decision, before you put the brakes on, and write things down. Again, what's the worst that's going to happen? Nothing. It's either you'll make it or you won't. So what? You know what I mean? But again, don't be boring.
We don't want to hang out with you if you're boring.
Yeah, don't be like the norm. Like, have a story, have something to say. You know what I mean? And a lot of times when the harder it is to get somewhere, the more interesting it is. You know what I mean? So be that person and show them, you know what, if I can do it, and seriously, that's what I say. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Trust me, I'm not special. I just choose that this is what I want to do.
I think you're superhuman personally, but you're saying you're not, so you must be. But yeah, no, I hear you. It is, and that's what life, I think, is all about. And I think people maybe know that deep down, but there's just all of these little restraints that they put themselves on, almost like these shackles that they can't try things or do things because of whatever reason they've created for themselves, which is also a story. And it's not an interesting one. So. No,
it's well, because everybody has that story. I can't do this because of A, B, and C. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like a broken record, right? You got to break out of that. And like I said, like what is the word? And again, writing things down sometimes on paper and just going over it, like the negative and the positive, right? And once you see the positive and all the great things that can happen, that negative will kind of go under the carpet, right? You know what I mean? Like, be a superhero. You can be your own superhero, man. You can do anything you want. Trust me, you can do anything you want. You set your mind to it. You have a passion for it and you go do it.
Oh, so awesome. So besides you speaking all over the world and writing amazing books, do you also coach people?
I do coach. I mean, I'm speaking more on a regular basis. I do some online coaching and with master athletes and stuff. A little bit of kickboxing because that's popular with fathers and have young daughters and stuff, right? So we'll do seminars and stuff like that, but it's kind of taken a back seat for a little bit now.
Okay, you're too busy with your speaking schedule, which she is coming to Vancouver Island if you are watching in September. So head on over to Leah Goldstein's website. I will put it below, and she will have, if she doesn't already, but she needs to have all of her events posted there that she's speaking at because they're very important and she's amazing to watch. Now, we wanted to give away a book to somebody who is watching, and to win the No Limits book, which I always have, but I've just lent out to another girlfriend because it's so good. I read it in a night. And that was because it was like a page turner, is you're going to tell us something that you've done that was outside of your comfort zone, that really like pushed your limits. You're going to share that in the comments, and I'm going to choose the best one, or Leah, one of us will, and we will deliver them one of your books. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
So last question, what is on the plate for you now? What is your next challenge?
Well, I signed my rights to the book to a movie producer called Lori Lazinski, who's now partnered with a production company in the United Kingdom. And the documentary is being worked on right now. So I'm going to be busy with that for a little bit, so that's in the process of right now. So, I've come down to earth after the race. So kind of the schedule for the next couple of months for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to try and weasel my way into opening night for that because that's going to be great. Oh, awesome. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Leah, for taking time out of your busy day to come and chat with us. I hope everyone got a little kick in the butt for their own life. And it is all about living a life with no limits. Don't put those limits on yourself.
Exactly.
Anything's possible. If Leah can do it, we all should be able to.
Everyone can do it. Awesome. Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.